Donald Trump ha cerrado el gobierno. El hombre que se autoproclama como el mejor negociador del planeta acaba de demostrar que ni entiende lo que es un cierre administrativo o simplemente no le importa. Y lo peor, ya adelantó que usará esta crisis para despedir en masa a trabajadores federales asegurando que serían, según él, solo demócratas. ¿En serio? Como si la burocracia funcionara bajo carnet de partido. Pero claro, lo que sí funciona con Trump es el caos, un país paralizado, miles de familias sin sueldo y un presidente que intenta distraer culpando a inmigrantes que ni siquiera tienen acceso a los beneficios que él dice que roban. Un recordatorio rápido, si te está gustando este tipo de videos, nos ayudaría mucho que le dieras el botón de me gusta. Suscríbete si aún no lo has hecho, comenta tu opinión. El 98% de quienes nos ven todavía no están suscritos y juntos podemos hacer crecer esta comunidad. Ahora sí, pasemos a noticias.
Silence. They are actually, using all of their government websites to say this is Democrats pushing this shutdown. I think we can show you some of those websites showing these messages, blaming Democrats for this shutdown. HUD, DOJ, State Department, Agriculture. Do you think that they're being more effective in their messaging in terms of putting this blame on Democrats?
I think they're being a lot more illegal in their messaging. The first thing that I wanted to know was how can this not be a violation of the Hatch Act in some way, right? Because we are not allowed to politic on official sites, period, right? And that's what they're doing. They literally change official government websites to put out their propaganda. Instead of just saying we're currently in a shutdown, you decided to play partisan politics on an official website. And I guess there is no limit to what they won't do because they do the exact same thing when we walk into committee. Instead of us having real committee hearings where we are actually able to get information that may somehow help the American people understand what's going on, instead, it's always a campaign rally that they're doing when we walk into committee, and it's more spewing of their propaganda. So I don't think that they're being more effective. I think that they are being more illegal in the ways that they're going about making sure that they can push out the information. I think that the American people are smart. As I was sitting here waiting to come on, I was going through my email, and almost at the top of my email was an email from a federal worker that said, "Keep up the great work. We will be okay. This is too important." So even in this moment, we are getting emails, or at least I am, from federal workers that understand the sacrifice that is happening right now. But this idea that, the retribution is going to be that since the government is shut down, then we're going to call in his henchman, Russell Vogt, so that he can go and do what he's been doing. But he's been doing that with no permission. We've had to go to court, I don't know how many times, to say, no, you were wrong. You can't fire those people. So what difference does it make? They have consistently violated the law, whether it was statute or whether it was the Constitution. There is nothing different about this, in addition to the fact, when we're talking about violating law, how about empowerment? The very first thing that we talked about when we first got in is that there have been laws that have been signed into law. And what did they do? They sent in Elon Musk, and he started illegally just deciding he wasn't going to send out certain dollars today that people are still missing, that we had appropriated. So what assurances do we have if we entered into an agreement with these Republicans that they wouldn't go back on their word and just say, oh yeah, we'll sign off on a rescissions package? Everything that the Democrats fought for, such as healthcare assurances around the Affordable Care Act, yeah, we'll make sure that that holds. We don't have any assurances.
We've seen that argument from...
Lo que describe Crockett es un gobierno que no solo ha cerrado su administración, sino también cualquier límite legal. Trump ha convertido el aparato estatal en su comité de campaña, cambia las páginas oficiales del gobierno para culpar a la oposición mientras ignora la ley y usa el caos como herramienta política. Y para colmo, intenta vender la idea de que los inmigrantes son los culpables de todo. Porque claro, cuando un presidente hunde su propia gestión, necesita un enemigo conveniente. Y ahí están los de siempre, los inmigrantes, los demócratas, los medios y cualquiera menos él. Pero esta vez, ni siquiera dentro del movimiento MAGA están comparando esa versión. Marjorie Taylor Greene, sí, la misma que hasta hace poco era una de sus más fervientes defensoras, le dio la espalda y reconoció públicamente que este cierre es culpa de su propio partido. Cuando Marjorie tiene que recordarle al presidente que deje de jugar con el pan de los trabajadores, sabes que la cosa está fuera de control. Trump está obsesionado con culpar a otros ya que no puede sostener su propia farsa. Su último intento en su red social es una joya. Dice que los demócratas quieren regalarle su dinero de salud a los inmigrantes ilegales. Una mentira grotesca. Los inmigrantes indocumentados no solo no reciben estos beneficios, en realidad los financian. Aportan más de $100,000 millones en impuestos, gran parte de los cuales se va a Medicare, seguridad social y programas de desempleo que ellos no logran usar. Entonces, ¿quién está robando? No los inmigrantes, son los millonarios a los que Trump acaba de regalar recortes fiscales. Y lo irónico es que su propio movimiento empieza a verlo. El cierre del gobierno no afecta a los grandes donantes ni a los multimillonarios de mar a lago. Afecta a los trabajadores, a los servidores públicos y a las familias que vienen del cheque quincenal. Pero eso a Trump no le importa. Solo le preocupa mantener viva la farsa del enemigo externo. Ahora bien, la Casa Blanca culpa a todos menos a sí misma. Hasta hay demócratas que se están peleando en una batalla de argumentos y estrategia. Vamos con lo que dijeron Jasmine Crockett y Greg Casar sobre cómo enfrentar esta crisis.
Thing this morning, I was on black radio so that black folk could hear me, a trusted voice, and know what was going on as they were going into work. I then got on with local news because it is important that my district, especially since I'm not there right now, it is very important that my local constituents, the ones that sent me to DC, know that I have a message for them. So I got up, I did local news. All this evening, I am doing the national news, but this is just what me and my team have set out for ourselves. I do know that the leader had I think he was doing a 24-hour YouTube stream. And so I know that they were kind of running different people on that stream to try to communicate. We are behind. I mean, Michael, these are the facts. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie. We are behind. They are way ahead. Congressman Kassar brought up the fact that, yes, they're buying up the media space, but also just how to use the media. We're just now starting to get with influencers. We're just now starting to get online in general. Like, we are far behind.
I do think it is interesting, though, that part of the schism seems to be within their own caucus. There was reporting today from the Wall Street Journal about the fact that you do have moderate House Republicans who are floating a year-long extension of these health care subsidies. But it's the Freedom Caucus that's saying that's a non-starter for them. And then you have that Fabrizio polling from July that is basically like, hey, Republicans, if you decide to go with this move and actually raise people's health care premiums, Democrats are going to absolutely slaughter you come midterms. So there has to be someone, Congressman, in their caucus who knows that this is a political loser for them.
They know it's a loser, and that's why they are floating these things of, well, trying to fix some of the problems they caused just in time for the elections. But we can't settle for just fixing their problem. We have to stand strong and actually fix the problems of the American people, because I think that even though their propaganda is strong, Michael, I think that if we deliver in a big and meaningful way for people, where folks expect Democrats sometimes to cave, but actually deliver in a big way, don't just give them one little year of an extension, then maybe folks can have another party to believe in.
There was a piece in the New York Times, there were a bunch of charts from Steve Ratner that I think help articulate this, and then I'll kick it over to you, Simone. Can we pull up Ratner's essay in the Times? Even upper-income Americans who buy insurance on the ACA exchanges will be hurt by the repeal of this tax break. That's because as coverage gets more expensive, healthier people drop their insurance first, forcing companies to raise premiums on the remaining customers to maintain profitability. Thanks to Republican legislators, a 55-year-old couple making $85,000 annually could see their health insurance costs more than triple to $24,535 a year. I think those types of illustrations are helpful, Simone, because I think sometimes when we have these conversations, they're like, oh, poor people aren't going to have health insurance. No, we are talking across the income spectrum about this affecting
We are talking about everybody. You know, I disagree with the chairman.
Yeah,
you know, I think that again, usually I would argue my Democratic friends are very much so behind the 8 ball. I think that what has happened is you all have wrestled the narrative with something that is real. Steve Ratner is writing about this because that's what you all are talking about. Usually shutdown fights are about budgets and taxes. This is about people's health care. And to be very clear, this is not the economy where you can leave your job.
No.
If you don't have a job, it's very hard to get a job. And if you have a job, you need to keep your job. It is already very expensive. So to see that people's premiums are going to go up by, in some places, 300%.
Yeah.
People who are making good money can't really afford that. On top of the Medicaid cuts. And so I actually do think this is strong ground to stand on. I wonder what is the... Like, is there an off-ramp? Like, at what point will how does this end?
Yeah, I don't know how this
how this ends. We know that the last time we experienced a Trump shutdown, because this is what Trump does, if the American people have forgotten, the last time we experienced this, we know that it was the air traffic controllers that shut that thing down, right? Once the planes stopped going, then you had the airlines calling, you had all of those that were engaged in logistics in any way. Those businesses were calling and was like, y'all need to fix this. We don't care what you got to do because we are losing too much money. Unfortunately, the only language that this administration understands is the language of billionaires and dollars. And so I am hoping that there is some creativity as it relates to our federal workers to make sure that they start to speak the language of this administration.
Mientras Trump usa la mentira como arma, hay congresistas que están haciendo el trabajo que el presidente debería hacer: informar, proponer y proteger. Lo que esta crisis demuestra es que el trumpismo no tiene proyecto en el país, solo tiene rabia, propaganda y caos. Y cuando sus aliados más radicales empiezan a rebelarse, es una señal de que la grieta dentro del movimiento MAGA ya no se puede ocultar. Lo que empezó como una estrategia para culpar a otros terminó siendo un tiro en el pie. Hoy, el actual presidente enfrenta no solo la desconfianza del país, sino la estructura interna de su propio movimiento. Y mientras tanto, millones de estadounidenses viven la consecuencia directa de un liderazgo que se alimenta del conflicto. Trump prometió hacer grande a Estados Unidos otra vez. Lo único que ha hecho grande es su propia crisis. Si este análisis te ha resultado útil, no olvides suscribirte, dejar tu like y compartir este video. Esto es Rumor de Estado.